COVID vaccine and the adverse side effects and the yellow card system this morning. Robin says, I just wish I could kiss you both. At last, someone telling the truth about the vaccines. That's really powerful, actually. David and Renee, this one says from Mike in Oxford, I love you guys. Thank you for being strong with Dr. Panhania. He drove me nuts on his talk during the COVID with his doom-mongering. Will no one apologise for what they did to us? I never saw the streets lined with dead people. My mother-in-law still gives me numbers of people with COVID when she means a sniffle, a cough, a cold, hay fever, etc. That's actually a very important point. So when I was unwell last week, people kept saying to me, have you tested for COVID? Well, why would I?
I know. We've completely changed people's mindsets. We've never thought about a coronavirus like this. You know, we always get bad colds and flus and things, and we don't go and test ourselves. So we need to undo the damage that we've actually done. And interestingly, David, I was just looking, the report that I quoted, those adverse events from, was called the Perseus .org report, and I will put it on my Twitter account because it makes really interesting reading about all of the figures and how it's been rolled out. But interestingly, just in the last week, even though the MRHA have stopped doing weekly bulletins, just as they came up to ending that, there were 776 adverse COVID vaccine reports lodged, and 76 of them, so 75% of them, were deemed serious.
Amazing, isn't it? Let's hear more of your stories now. Ruth is on the line from South Lanarkshire. Good morning to you.
Good morning, David.
Morning.
You'll have to forgive me today. I had a very busy day yesterday. I set up a Scottish vaccine injury group along with John Watt and Alex Mitchell.
Well done.
And we had a rally yesterday in Glasgow, so we are all wasted. We're all horizontal.
I'm sure.
Well, at least you're honest.
Yeah, well done, though. Well done. And it's really important, actually, that we get to the truth behind what's been going on.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's why we had the rally yesterday, because, David, we find ourselves so censored on social media. I mean, for example, when I first put two and two together and realised that what was happening to me was an adverse reaction to the vaccine, it took me 6 months to find one person in the whole world who was vaccine injured apart from myself, and that was in America. And then it took me another 2 months to find out there was a whole group in the UK with hundreds. So we started the Scottish group because we wanted to get core participant status in the Scottish public inquiry, and we had to have a group in order to do so. And we actually did it in 3 days because that's the timescale we had before the applications had to be in, because we'd just basically found out about it.
Well, well done.
There's another story behind.
Well done, you.
Behind that.
So tell us, what's your story?
Well, my story is that I had AstraZeneca and I had 2 vaccines. And after the first one, I felt I was starting to react to food and stuff, but I thought I was just developing allergies, and I thought that's very odd. Why would that suddenly happen? And then I had my second vaccine, and 2 weeks later, I started going to idiopathic anaphylaxis.
Wow.
Which means your body by itself is producing enough histamine to tip you over without even adding any other stimulation. My diagnosis, way down the line, I mean, maybe I should go back a bit.
Yeah.
It took months to get help. My GP acknowledged, I befriended a doctor. She said, I think you have something called mast cell activation syndrome.
Yeah.
And I went to my doctor and he said, actually, we were told about that. We had about 10 minutes training on that when I was a student. And I think that's it, but I don't have a clue what to do with you. And we couldn't find a consultant or specialist in Scotland to send me to. And I was sent to the anaphylaxis clinic, who said, yes, you have mast cell activation. You need to calm your mast cells down, but we are an allergy clinic and we don't treat that, so we're discharging you. So I was left without any help after they told me that it was anxiety that had caused it in the first place.
And you'd never had anaphylaxis before?
No.
Or allergies or anything like this? You've never had mast cells being stimulated?
Yeah, well, I had random allergies to, things like to dogs. But I mean, that was just a little bit of wheezing. And actually, to be completely honest and transparent, I started reacting to antibiotics. And wasn't able to take antibiotics. So I realised in retrospect that I probably had this condition underlying, but it was just very quietly rumbling away in the background.
And this tipped you over the edge.
It absolutely did. And I still cannot eat or drink normally. Last night, I was celebrating. I went out for a meal with people for the first time. And I've gone out for meals with people, but I haven't eaten. And I went out for a meal with people last night, and I was able to eat something from the menu. I had to pick certain things that I knew that I could have that were low histamine. And it was such a celebration for me, being able to eat out. I wasn't even able to drink tap water without it sending me. I couldn't use toothpaste or face cream. I couldn't go out where there was any diesel fumes or people vaping, or into a house where there might be air fresheners. So that's what it's like for people with MCAS. But it wasn't just that. It also triggered a whole load of neurological issues.
Yeah.
So it was almost like I had multiple sclerosis. I wasn't able to walk straight.
Wow.
I couldn't actually hold conversations because I couldn't process auditory information and I couldn't process my words. So I was literally just sitting comatose watching people with their lips moving, and I couldn't participate at all.
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear your story, but I'm delighted that you managed to have a good night out yesterday, and you managed to eat as well. And also congratulations on setting up that group in the time frame as well. So well done. Thank you very much indeed for your call, Ruth. Very quickly though, there's a recurring theme going on here, isn't there?
There really is, and this is why it can't be dismissed. And actually, maybe Ruth's story, what it shows us is that there should have been very careful, planned, informed consent where we took a proper medical history.
Which we didn't.
And we said to somebody like Ruth with those antibiotic allergies, you know what, maybe for you, we don't know enough about this, let's not.
Yeah, I mean, extraordinary, really.
And if Ruth still wanted it, then that would have been her choice.
Sorry, if what?
If she still wanted the vaccine, then that would have been her choice.
Absolutely, and I think that's why people are so angry, actually, is there was no informed consent. We were not told anything about it. We didn't ask. Every time we do a medical history, we always talk about past medical history, but we didn't in this case, and I think you make a brilliant point. Right, well, let's move on and talk about